The night was deep in Osaka, April 12, 2024. The city pulsed with its usual neon heartbeat, but beneath the surface, a different kind of quiet settled in. While the world above buzzed with late-night energy, the underbelly of the city, the parking garages, the tunnels, the hidden spaces, held their breath. In the Nishi Umeda Grand Parking Garage, silence reigned, broken only by the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant echo of footsteps. The air was thick with the scent of concrete and oil, and every sound seemed to linger just a little too long. This was a fortress of concrete and cameras, a place built on the promise of unblinking security. Every inch was designed to be watched, every movement meant to be recorded. Dozens of dark lenses watched every corner, every aisle, every entrance and exit, or so everyone believed. The illusion of safety was as thick as the walls themselves. At 3 to 17 a.m., that engineered silence was shattered, not by noise but by an invisible event. The lights flickered, shadows danced, and something unseen slipped through the cracks. A luxury sedan in Bay 77B was found with a deep, ugly scratch along its side. The mark was fresh, jagged, and unmistakable, a wound on metal that told a story no one had witnessed. No witnesses, no suspects. The garage, usually bustling by day, was deserted in those early hours. Just a damaged car and a shaken sense of safety. The owner's disbelief echoed in the emptiness, a silent accusation against the very walls. Management was certain. The cameras would reveal the truth. After all, that was their purpose, to see what human eyes could not. But when the footage was reviewed, a troubling reality emerged. The expected clarity was replaced by confusion and doubt. The system, designed for total coverage, had blinked. For a crucial moment, the all-seeing eyes had gone blind. In a brief moment of darkness, a story was lost, and a legal firestorm was born. Questions began to swirl, and trust began to erode. The garage, once a symbol of safety, was now a case study in failure. Its reputation, carefully built over years, was suddenly in jeopardy. We trust technology to be our infallible witness, but even the best systems are built by imperfect hands. A single flaw, a single oversight, can unravel everything. A small, forgotten corner, overlooked in the design, was about to become the most important place in the entire structure. In the end, it's the places we ignore that often hold the answers we seek. In that void, certainty vanished. The silence of concrete became the silence of doubt. And so began the unraveling of trust in the digital age. A reminder that even in a world of constant surveillance, some mysteries remain hidden in the shadows. Surveillance systems are marvels of modern engineering, digital eyes linked by fiber optics, promising total vigilance. They hum quietly in the background of our daily lives, watching, recording, and analyzing every movement. The promise is simple. Nothing escapes their gaze, and every corner is accounted for. In the Nishi Umeda garage, cameras covered every lane, every entrance, every exit. The system was designed to be foolproof, a web of lenses and wires meant to deter any wrongdoing. Wide-angle domes watched intersections, fixed lenses guarded high-value spots. Every angle was considered, every risk assessed by engineers and security experts. On paper, the coverage was seamless, a blanket of security. The blueprints showed no gaps, no weaknesses, just a perfect grid of surveillance. But reality is messier than blueprints. The real world is full of imperfections, clutter, and unpredictable obstacles that no plan can fully anticipate. A support pillar, a ventilation duct, a junction box, each can cast a shadow. Even the smallest obstruction can create a pocket of darkness, invisible to the untrained eye. In level B3, 2 cameras were meant to overlap, but didn't. A slight miscalculation, a shift in installation, and the coverage was no longer complete. Between a pillar and a duct, a small triangular blind spot was born. It was just a few feet wide, but it was enough, a sliver of invisibility in a world of constant observation. The cameras worked perfectly, The flaw was in the design. No one noticed, because the system itself was trusted more than the reality it was meant to monitor. For years, thousands passed through, unaware of the invisible void. People felt safe, never suspecting that a hidden gap could exist right above their heads. It was a ghost in the system, waiting for its moment. A flaw that lingered in silence, unnoticed and unchallenged. That moment arrived when the sedan was vandalized, right inside the blind spot. The event exposed the system's vulnerability, turning a theoretical risk into a real-world crisis. The flaw was no longer theoretical, it was now the heart of a mystery. Investigators were left with questions and a patch of darkness where answers should have been. In the age of total surveillance, a few square feet of darkness can change everything. Even the all-seeing eye has its unseen corners, reminding us that no system, no matter how advanced, is ever truly perfect. The cameras told a clear story, until suddenly they didn't. Every second, every movement was accounted for, as if the entire garage was under a microscope. But then, something slipped through the cracks. At exactly 3:16:08 a.m., a man in a dark jacket and cap walked through level B3, tracked by camera after camera, his every step recorded in the silent, echoing corridors. He passed rows of parked cars, his path illuminated by cold fluorescent light that cast long, sharp shadows on the concrete floor. The footage was crisp, the timeline precise, each frame a perfect record, each timestamp a promise of certainty. At 3:16:54, he reached the pillar near Bay 77B, pausing for just a moment as if considering his next move. The next camera, positioned to catch every angle, should have picked him up instantly, leaving no room for mystery. But for 47 seconds, he vanished, gone from every lens, as if erased from reality itself. The feed showed only stillness, no movement, no sound, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the emptiness of concrete silence. Then, at 3:17:41, he reappeared, walking calmly, hands empty, as if nothing had happened at all. He exited the garage, tracked all the way to the pedestrian exit, his face unreadable, his pace unhurried. In those 47 seconds, the sedan was damaged, its side scraped, a dent left behind, but no one saw how or why. The cameras saw him before and after, but not during. The crucial moment was lost, a gap in the story that shouldn't exist. To investigators, those missing seconds were a black hole, an impossible void in an otherwise perfect record. What happened in that digital darkness became the question that unraveled the case, haunting every review of the footage. The blind spot was no longer invisible. It was now the focal point of suspicion, the place where truth slipped away. It was the center of a growing storm, a mystery that would pull everyone deeper into its shadows. Detectives watched the footage in frustration. The suspect was visible before and after the crime, but the act itself was missing. 47 seconds, just enough time for vandalism, just enough time for doubt. Technicians checked every camera, every wire, every server. No tampering, no malfunction. The system had worked exactly as designed. That was the problem. Walking the garage, investigators found the blind spot, a small triangle behind the pillar, invisible to both cameras. The flaw was permanent, not a glitch. Anyone who knew about it could exploit it. The missing footage was not a one-time error, but a constant void in the system. The case shifted from a simple act of vandalism to a crisis of trust in technology. The ghost in the machine was not a bug, but a feature, hidden in plain sight. The 47 seconds became a legal battleground. In that gap, certainty dissolved. Surveillance cameras are designed to overlap, creating a seamless net of observation. But blind spots are their natural enemy, tiny pockets of invisibility born from physical obstructions or flawed planning. A pillar, a duct, a miscalculated angle, each can create a shadow where nothing is seen. In the Nishiumeda garage, a massive pillar and a low-hanging duct formed a perfect triangular void. On blueprints, coverage looked complete. In reality, the blind spot was missed. These gaps are usually harmless, lost in a sea of data. But when something happens inside them, the flaw becomes critical. The blind spot is a failure of geometry and foresight, a reminder that no system is perfect. In those unseen spaces, truth becomes a matter of inference and doubt. Technology promises certainty, but the world is full of shadows. And sometimes the most important moments happen where no camera can see. In court, the prosecution's case seemed airtight. The defendant was seen entering with the undamaged car, leaving 47 seconds later with the car vandalized. The timeline was tight, the evidence circumstantial, but strong. The defense seized on the blind spot. If the system missed 47 seconds, what else could it have missed? Expert witnesses showed the flaw was permanent, a structural gap, not a glitch. The court faced a dilemma, strong suspicion but incomplete evidence. The blind spot became a legal concept, a void where doubt could grow. The case exposed the limits of our faith in technology. In the end, the missing footage was more powerful than any image. The verdict sent shockwaves through Japan's legal and security worlds. The defendant was acquitted. The blind spot created reasonable doubt. The case proved digital evidence is not absolute. A nationwide review of surveillance practices began. New laws required systems to document and disclose every blind spot. The goal shifted from pretending perfect coverage to acknowledging real limitations. Now, coverage maps and simulations are legal documents. The lesson: even the best technology has shadows. The Nishiumeda Garage reminded us that some things will always remain unseen. Sometimes the truth hides in a 47-second gap between two cameras.